Hey guys, we have a busy week full of planetary transits. We have some interesting stuff going on this week. Mercury is going to be going into retrograde and making a bunch of aspects this week. Mercury is actually at the forefront this week in terms of aspects that it's making, and these aspects will circle back around as the retrograde cycle moves along. And we have some lighter energies too, which is nice to see. We definitely have some stuff that is a little bit uncomfortable this week. So this week is mixed, and it's interesting because even looking at the vibes on the graph, it's seemingly like there's not much going on, although this is definitely one of those weeks where it's going to be busy and ultra chatty, especially with all the Mercury stuff going on. We have a ton of romantic energy in the air, which ties in with the Sun making a sextile with Neptune and with Venus making a semisquare with Jupiter. Even though it's a semisquare, and semisquares are complex, hard aspects, with Jupiter and Venus, it's just not as hard. It just comes with some other weird things. And there's also a ton of psychic energy in there, and that also ties in with the Sun making a sextile with Neptune and Mars also making a square to Neptune. So it is a mixed bag of psychic energy, and here's why it's a mixed bag. The Sun situation is great, and it's easy energy. It's easily accessible psychic energy, so it's not as harsh. However, with the Mars stuff that's going to come up, it is going to make things uncomfortable and in a lot of ways draining psychically. So it'll be a mix of, just feeling like you're having these good intuitive downloads and great dreams, and then also with some of it, it is going to feel like you might be picking up other people's energy. Things might be heavy. So there's that going on from the 10th all the way till the 12th with this energy. And there's a spike of emotional sensitivity going on around the 15th. There's a little bit of edge in the air around that day and around the weekend. There's some stuff that's going on where, we have some more serious-minded stuff going on mixed in with edgy energy, so it might feel a little bit heavier over the weekend, and just low-key irritations that come up around the 15th or so. So yeah, let's look at these next bunch of days and see what we can expect. As a reminder, don't forget to like and subscribe and also share, because it does help this channel grow. Also, if you'd like to support the hard work of this channel, you can do so by buying me a fresh cup of coffee. There's a link in the description box below. On the 10th, Venus is making a semisquare with Jupiter. So this alignment is a fun alignment, and anytime it comes up, I definitely welcome it more than any of the other aspects, of course. Because it is a celebratory aspect. However, this is going on during Venus retrograde too, so this could definitely up the craziness that happens when Venus and Jupiter get together. When Venus and Jupiter get together, especially in a complex aspect, we tend to get a bit more carried away than normal when it comes down to love, when it comes down to drinking and food and things like that. So things like that can definitely go more overboard than normal. And especially with this situation when it comes to love and finances, and with Venus being in retrograde, that is going to definitely put more of a sting to this in terms of overspending and being careful. Definitely with Venus being in retrograde and this alignment going on, just make sure you're being more mindful of your finances and what's going on with that. This also could have something to do with the job situation too, which obviously ties in with our finances, but you definitely want to be aware of what you're doing when it comes down to work, career, and anything to do with your money when this alignment hits, because yeah, you could find yourself overspending and not being responsible or realistic when it comes down to your finances or any job situations. Also with this, of course, with relationship stuff, this could be a situation where you're dealing with someone who it feels like they're over embellishing. It feels like they're overly demonstrative. And so that comes off disingenuous in a relationship if this is something that you were dealing with a dating situation you were in. The last time these guys were in a semisquare was November 15th. So anything that might have been going on around November 15th with, again, the overspending and things to do with career that might cause you to be doing something that's a little bit foolish, or a bit of over embellishing going on within a relationship that could come off a little bit love bomby. So this is the type of stuff that generally comes up during Venus retrogrades, and also, with this alignment connecting again a second time around, it is going to definitely inflate those situations again, and it's coming back around so you can give it a second look and resolution to your situation. But I will say again, it is a fun aspect, so at least there's that with it. It can be enjoyable. It doesn't have to be all those things, but if you had some Venus retrograde hits, then this is definitely going to circle back around. That same day, the sun is making a sextile with Neptune. Now, this is one of those alignments that's really lovely, and it will contribute to the fun vibe of this day, because although I was mentioning those things, again, Venus semi-square Jupiter, it's not the harshest, but Venus being in retrograde, it does put a little bit of a sting into it. But with the sun in a sextile to Neptune, this alignment is great if you're wanting to reconnect spiritually, connect with your higher mind, connect with your higher self. Just find a day to just feel more in alignment with yourself, more in alignment with nature, if you're able to go out in nature, because I know some places it is not warm. It is definitely snowy and cold. But if you're able to reconnect in some sort of way with something more divine, then this is the perfect energy for that. It's great for meditation, and it's great for just dancing to your favorite music. It's great for doing something really spiritual, playing with tarot cards, doing a spiritual bath or some sort of spiritual self-care and things like that. It's just lovely for that. I would say that this is one of those alignments where if you're wanting to get back on track spiritually, then this is going to give you the boost you need to take action on those things. Because, you know, again, still in the beginning of the year, sometimes people make resolutions, and for some people, it's getting back in attunement with their spirituality, whatever that might be for them. So this is perfect for that, and just getting started or feeling motivated to start whatever practice that you've been doing once again. The next day, on the 11th, unlike that last aspect we had with Neptune, which brings this loveliness there, this one here can be a bit harsh. We have Mars making a square with Neptune, which Mars square Neptune, it's definitely one of those things that can put a damper on your energy. A lot of the times with Mars or the sun connecting with Neptune, you tend to get drainers. Mars and the sun are about vitality. It's about taking action in those energies. And when you pair it with Neptune, Neptune has a way of just weakening it, causing you to either feel lethargic or causing situations where you're dealing with people who are draining. So when it comes to you personally, make sure you're taking care of your immune system. Make sure you are getting proper rest that day if you can, if you have the luxury to, because not all of us do. And you just want to make sure you're doing something to take care of yourself, some sort of self-care, because it can make you feel really wonky when this energy hits. And when it comes to feeling drained by other people, this is going to be the type of day where you're going to have to protect yourself as much as possible. If you feel as though you don't have the energy to deal with people, then don't communicate, especially if it's people who are emotional dumpers, which comes up a lot in this energy, where you have the friend or just someone you know or a family member that sends you 15 text messages in a row about their drama and does not ask a thing about you or what's going on with you. They're just dumping their shit on you, and that's draining in itself, and it can make you feel, you know, like you're being used. And, you know, sometimes people don't have bad intentions when they do that, but at the same time, you have to set healthy boundaries so that way you're protecting your own energy and yourself, because if you don't, it's going to come at a cost to you, and it is going to just waste your time, and you need your time to yourself. You just don't want anyone wasting your time and energy, and that's kind of what happens within this alignment. Also, it does bring out the scammer energy, as Neptune does, so that's something to also be aware of. Just make sure you're not falling for hoaxes or false spiritual types, which also has been going on a lot lately, especially on Instagram, where you have all of these scammers cloning accounts, especially on spiritual accounts. It's not just spiritual accounts. I've seen it with other accounts too, where there's like a fake Cash App scam, you know, where people that you may know personally, they infiltrate their account and they try to do that, or they're doing the crap with the sunglasses and taking over people's accounts and trying to get money out of people. So be careful with that. Also, if you follow me on Instagram and you ever see an account asking you for money, know that I will never ever do that, and please report it if you ever see it. So yeah, protect yourself, update your passwords regularly, and make sure none of that's going on. And, you know, like I said, it's not just spiritual accounts, it's also regular people accounts. It could be someone you know that account is getting infiltrated like that. So do the best you can when this energy hits, set boundaries and limits, and protect yourself. So speaking of odd situations, on the 14th, Mercury is going to be making a square with Uranus, and this is going to be part 1 of this square. Due to the Mercury retrograde cycle, this will be circling back around. So situations that happened today, the 14th, itself will come back around during the retrograde. And with Mercury square Uranus, the thing with this is miscommunication up the wazoo. This is one of those miscommunication sort of alignments where either the wrong thing gets blurted out, or you misspeak about something, or someone takes your text message wrong, because you know how it goes with text or DM. Sometimes you can't inflect tone, and so sometimes things might come off dry, flat, or dismissive, and this could result in an argument. So as a result, this can cause drama over text, DM, or just everyday conversation. A lot of the times, and I mentioned this when Mercury makes a hard aspect with Uranus, Mercury's about our communication. So it's the way we talk and it's the way we communicate face to face or over text, over DM, FaceTime, whatever. And you could get some unexpected communication from people that you don't like. And that happens a lot of the time with the complicated aspects. All of a sudden, you're hearing from someone, they're popping up out of the blue. And honestly, with everything going on, with Venus being in retrograde and Mercury going retrograde that same day, Venus retrogrades, Mercury retrogrades tend to bring back people from the past. So this could be some past situation with someone that you need to either resolve or someone just trying to get back into your life. Or it doesn't even have to be that. It could be in written form. This could be a resurfacing of a document that you need to re-sign for something, or a reconsideration for a contract that you might have done during the shadow period or whatever time this might have been going on for you. So those are the things that can pop up around this day. And speaking of documents, Mercury is going retrograde that same day. Welcome to Mercury Retrograde season 2022. We've got 4 retrogrades this year, and this is due to the retrograde cycle starting at the very beginning of the year. We have some interesting retrogrades going on this year. We have Earth lessons and we have air lessons. So we still have a continuum, the air lessons that we had last year, and we also have Earth lessons that's coming up. In other words, the Mercury retrogrades will trace their shadow at the end of Earth signs and then go to about the early parts of air, I would say between the 10th degree as maximum, and then retrograde back into the Earth sign. We have 3 of those hybrids this year, and the last Mercury retrograde this year will be fully in Earth and it will be in Capricorn, and that's going to be interesting. In air lessons, we deal with our relationships because air does rule our relationships. You would think the water signs, but the air signs are all about our communication and our connections. And so a lot of the time we deal with relationship stuff. Because this Mercury is going to be in Aquarius, we are going to be dealing with friendship situations. And it's going to be about our networking. It's going to be about how we fit into the group or what we need to do within the group. And to specify a group can be anything. It could be an organization you're a part of. It could be a group of, people who are into microbrewing beer, or an astrology group, or a knitting group. It could be any type of group that you're associated with and that you're aligned with. There could be some issues within those sorts of circumstances. And when it comes to Earth, we deal with our practicality, we deal with our resources, we deal with a lack of maturity, especially because this is going to go back into Capricorn. This is going to be all about how we critically think, our maturity, how responsible we are, our commitments that we make. All those things are going to circle back around through these retrogrades. So we've got some interesting stuff that's going to be happening. Mercury went into its pre-shadow phase on the 29th of December. So think back to what was going on with you in regards to relationships. I know that we do have Venus retrograde going on at the same time. So relationships are really, really, truly at the forefront when it comes down to this. But this could have more to do with platonic relationships, as I was mentioning before when we deal with the Aquarius themes. And within Capricorn, practicality, your resources, your maturity. How responsible are you? Are you critically thinking? Think back to that time, and if those themes are coming up, they're going to be your topic during the retrograde. So if you're being aspected by any of this, whether it be the Aquarius portion or the Capricorn portion, this will definitely be an interesting retrograde for you. Mercury will go direct on February 3rd, and it will finally leave shadow on the 23rd of February. So yeah, guys, this is going to be an interesting retrograde season with Venus retrograde and then Uranus going direct, which I will talk about next week, but I'm getting ahead of myself. But yeah, it's a lot going on in the month of January. So the 16th can feel slightly edgier than usual. We've got some stuff going on over the weekend in general for the first few days with that edgy stuff that was coming up on the graph. So some of this is contributing to it. We have the Sun making a conjunction with Pluto, and we're also going to have Mercury making a semi-square with Mars. With the Sun conjunct Pluto, this tends to bring out a bit of intensity when it comes down to other people just acting intensely, other people acting like egomaniacs. It brings in this sense of dominance. And so you could be dealing with dominant types. You could deal with people who need control and power, basically just to stroke their ego, basically to feel like they have everybody else under their thumb. This also brings out compulsive behavior, obsessive behavior, and just unhealthy habits pop up during this time. It can inflate paranoia too as well. So this is something that you definitely want to be careful with because, a lot of times when people do feel paranoid, sometimes it's irrational, and then there's times where it's rational. And with this one, it's a mixed bag where, it can be a rational situation because with Pluto, we do deal with uncovering things, and so there could be certain situations where you're realizing someone has a hidden agenda, and it doesn't have to be crazy or out of control. It could be someone being nice to you because they want $5. It doesn't have to be catastrophic, but you know, it's still annoying when people are being fake and they have a hidden agenda, regardless if it's over $5 or not. So it brings up that sort of thing. Also, with the Mercury semi-square Mars, this is going to be the first hit that's going on for the retrograde cycle, because this will circle back around as well as it does with retrogrades. But this right here does bring in a lot of disagreements, and it's one of those things where you're going to really want to try and watch your mouth. Combined with the Sun conjunct Pluto, if it happens to be a circumstance where you are feeling like someone is manipulating you, this could result in an argument. This can result in just confrontational stuff going on with people, and people who are forceful in the way they talk, and it's so obnoxious that it just becomes irritating, and that can also result in arguments too. So it's something to be aware of with this. It's very edgy. Sometimes with this alignment, it can be a situation where you're either speaking up for yourself and you're learning to find your voice and asserting yourself, which is always a good thing, or you could be speaking up for someone else who doesn't have a voice of their own. So sometimes those things come up within this energy as well. So yeah, it's an interesting week as far as weeks go, with some transformative stuff happening, and we have another week next week where it's going to be pretty transformative as well. So yeah, January is going to be an interesting month for sure. Anyway, I hope you all have the best week ever. Later, guys.